Now, one thing we did in this report, which created a lot of trouble actually with some countries, is to discuss the multifunctionality of agriculture. And it's actually a very big deal, because agriculture is done where the social, economic, and environmental realm do merge. So in the center there, you have basically our food production. And we cannot take it away from those three major areas. But that's what has been tried in the past, is to isolate agriculture both from the people, from the environment, and basically place it mostly into the economic realm. And there are a lot of things we need to do here. First of all, is to make sure that we understand agriculture is an issue of culture and not only agriculture. I mean, the word says it very well in English. It's agriculture. And there's a nice book from Jules Pretty out there, which actually is, the title is Agriculture. So this multifunctionality, you'll see it comes later on, because we talk about the environmental services, ecosystem services which agriculture produces, and which one day people have to pay for in the cities. The fresh air, the good water, and the landscape won't be free anymore. If they want it, they're going to have to pay the farmers also to maintain it, as well as grow the food. And we want to maintain also the different cultures, the traditions, and again, that's why we need to maintain an agricultural landscape which allows for people to remain in. And agriculture, again, has to be economically also feasible. So the assessment says that to meet those sustainability goals, we need a fundamental shift in agricultural knowledge, science, and technology, and the linked agri-food system policies, the institution, capacity development, and investment. So basically, we have to do things totally different from how they are today, being it in the north, the south, the east, and the west. And in particular, address this multifunctionality. We also say that, which created some troubles, some discussion, that the future of agriculture lies in the small scale on the family farms. That's not so easy, because a lot of people think, oh, we can grow more by going large scale, industrialization, mechanization. But the report really says this is not the way to go. The way to go is really to support science, knowledge, and technology for the small farms. So again, I think which means changing a lot of the way we do things out there, in particular from the policy point of view. And how can we help small farms? Again, with these ecological services and also more decentralized governance. And just to an idea, 525 million small-scale farms in the world. If you multiply this by 5 people on a farm, 2.5 billion people, that's almost half the present population. And 85% of those small farms actually have less than 2 hectares. So you can see how small these things are. And here, the same graph again, with this crossed out, because we have to find another way to produce our food. The small-scale farmer are also an opportunity, or they're a challenge on one hand. They are really the opportunity. They already produce the bulk of the food. We know that also. And what would you do with so many billion people out there making more TVs or I don't know what, if they were not on a farm? And also the environment. They are the steward of the environment. We have so many parks out there with a few rangers. The farmers out there take better care, or can take better care of the whole environment we require for the future. So if we were to really provide them with the science, technology, and the knowledge, and also tools, I think we would be much better off, certainly for the long term. So the needs really are, we need a suite of policy approaches that address small-scale producer, family producer, and also the science has to change and has to be geared toward the small-scale farmer. Now we have 7 little points here to go through. So one is actually to empower and involve and support the farmers, and the women in particular. We have 75% farmers in developing countries, in Africa in particular, are women, which also means that the science, knowledge, technology has to be geared toward women farmers. Also the whole extension part of it. We need to help them with sustainable agricultural practices, how to restore soils, restore the soil fertility, because they've been mining the soils for lack of knowledge and lack of means. We need to bring the animals back onto the farm. This is not only in developing countries, same here. Separating animals from the farm can't work. You break the carbon cycle, You cannot grow soybean in Argentina and raise the pig in Europe as they do it. So we know that. Or in China. So we have to stop all this and become reasonable. Maybe food will be more expensive. So be it. And for a lot of the farmers, we need safety nets. The farmers here know this is the most risky business in the world. And who is helping you? Usually nobody, certainly not in developing countries. Here you may have insurance for a hailstorm or something. Maybe the government comes if there's a flood. In most places of the world, nothing. So you take a huge risks. And that's why farmers are very careful when they start with something new, because they know the old stuff kept them so long. You try something new, you don't know. So you do a little bit of it. And we know how to do it. We already know we can triple the production of crop of food in developing countries, Africa in particular, which is the continent needs it most, with totally organic, sustainable systems. So it's done, it's been done, it's just not being implemented because there's no money there to push it. At the same time, one pushes other methods which are chemically and also GM-based. And the Wired magazine, many of you know it, even shows some of these methods here, which is called the Pushpull, where you can grow maize without any weeds, without bugs, just by reinventing sort of the system. We need to improve access to production resources. That's very important too. Land in particular, if people don't have access to land, nothing will happen out there, and also education. So that's a key element. We improve the markets, infrastructure, institutions. If that's not there, nothing happens either. The markets have to be there, and even here you can see people start to develop this farmers market, a way to close the gap between farmer and consumer. Very important, so that more money actually gets in the pocket of the farmer, and maybe even less out of the pocket of the consumer. In terms of research, again, we have to make sure that the research really targets ecosystem sustainability, sustainable agriculture, organic or biodynamic, agroecology, name it. There are many different systems out there which need to be promoted, and always in view of the family or the small-scale farm. And also, the research has to produce international public goods and not patented seeds, where you can't even do the research with it. So and in the report we were very strong about this whole issue of patent, which goes against the grain when it comes to small farmers, to people who want to keep their seeds, do what they know best. But science has to help them too. And a good example is actually from the software industry. What they do now, some research, and everybody else is contributing. And so that's the open source approach needs to be taken in agriculture. Why? Close the yield gap. Why do we need more potential? Sure, breeders will tell you that if you increase the potential, the yield will go up also. But, we got so much potential out there nobody can eat. But I think if we would if we would improve the soils, you could realize even half that potential, and we will all be drowning in food, good food.